here with Bryan Eisenberg from Future Now and the phenomenal blog called grok.com. Bryan is the author of many books, including the recently released A/B testing book called Always Be Testing, which is very clever. A/B, Always Be Testing. And he's an official Google website optimizer consultant. And this book is packed full of about $5 million worth of content in there. None of it has been published online before, so I'm halfway through it and I'm really enjoying it. It's entertaining and a lot of great stuff that online retailers will really benefit from. And we're broadcasting live from Search Engine Strategies San Jose, 2008.
Just as all the session just released and we got all these people following us. It's kind of cool.
Oh, I thought they were coming to.
Oh, it must have. Yeah, it must have. No, hold on. It must have been you.
The both of us.
Okay, that's fair.
All right. So Bryan has been in the industry for about 10 years, and one of the most interesting things I think you've done is taking screenshots of Amazon's shopping cart from the very beginning. And you've got archives of this. And you actually mentioned it in the book. So do you want to just talk to that a little bit?
Sure, yeah. It's I've confessed to it. I am a screenshot-aholic. It's a serious addiction. I have a hard time with it sometimes. But yeah, anything I see, I keep taking screenshots for because you get to learn so much from it, especially over a historical period. So on Amazon, I had witnessed this years ago, and just as I was starting to pick up tips to give to clients and starting to really see what kind of things were going on. And of course, Amazon has always been a leader in this industry and always been the one to innovate and test and stuff like that. And very early on, Amazon used to have their add to cart buttons with the words on there. You can always remove it later because you remember at the time, this was in the early, mid to late '90s. People were afraid to hit a button because they blow up the world. Right, and so having the wording on there made people feel definitely a lot better. A couple of years after that, they got rid of that wording from there because they tried to make the button actually much thinner and take up a lot less screen real estate. And so it's funny because at that time we got every single one of our clients to put this point of action assurance on the buttons, and then they call us up and say, Amazon just got rid of it, we're going to get rid of it too. And I'm like, well, are you in the same business as Amazon? So it turns out that we did the analysis, and later on basically had it confirmed. The reason Amazon shrunk the button had nothing to do about conversion. In fact, it actually reduced conversion for them, but they changed their business model. They were selling used books now, and they wanted to move that screen real estate closer to the top of the fold, right? And so that gave them more profits because all they had to do was submit the order, someone else shipped it, and they don't have to deal with it. And so it's hard to copy from other people, and they've done a whole bunch of evolution since then. And again, we talk about that a lot in the book. Like 4 or 5 different changes over the years, and it's really important to understand. That's just one little section on their whole site. And it's a button. It's not like it's a big deal, but the fact that they can spend so much time focusing on it shows how much incremental gains you can keep getting from it if you keep addressing the important parts that cause people to take action on your website.
Yeah. So as a conversion expert and you have clients approaching you and probably coming with their own preconceived ideas, is that common? Do you get clients or people just asking you questions, Amazon did this, so we want to do this? Do they ever take a successful website or a case study in a book or something that someone else has done or maybe they've read in a blog post and then assume that it's going to work on your site?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen clients. Actually, we had one client in particular who copied something from somebody and ended up dropping his conversion rate by 1,000%. Okay, we were able to fix it fairly quickly. He wasn't an active client; it was a whole friend. But one of the key things that was really interesting is that now, especially with Google Website Optimizer, which is a free tool, so anybody can use it. There's no excuse for not testing things, right? And I mean, it's a shame because Internet Retailer did a study last year, at the end of last year, and 76% of retailers weren't testing yet. Right? They're so busy with the urgent, they're forgetting the important things. And so now I tell people, look, you want to copy it, great idea. Why don't you go create a version of it and let's test it. Let's see what kind of an impact it's going to have. And if it's a negative impact, you sure as hell don't want to run it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's so much about testing that makes sense, but I think that one of the things that prevents people of doing it is just the mystique about it. So do you find that there are barriers when people come to you? Do you feel like you have to sell testing? Do you have to spell it out for them? Do you have to show them examples of things that you've done before? How do you get buy-in on
Yeah, that's usually one big thing. We also tell people, don't test the big sacred cows. Go for little areas. Go for email campaigns and their landing pages. Go for, not the top pay-per-click terms, but some of the middle tier ones, right? Start small and work big. Or as my friend Sean D'Souza likes to talk about, it's kind of like eating spicy food for the first time, right? You're a little hesitant. You're not really sure what it's going to be like, and you eat it, and the first time your mouth burns, right? So maybe I don't want to do that again. And then go ahead, you try it again, you keep trying it, and eventually you develop a passion for it, and you just can't get enough of it. You want to try different spices, and that's exactly what testing is like. But you've got to get over that initial hurdle, and then it becomes addictive.
So as with the tool versus the analyst, so we were just talking with Avinash about the tool is maybe 10%, and what you spend on analysts and what you invest in good people is about 90%. Same thing go with testing?
Yeah, well, I like to tell people, it's about tools, people, and process, right? I always recommend people get good at free, then pay, right? Because you know what, the tool should always be a zero ROI. In other words, there are tools that can do more, there are tools that can do less, but get good at the ones that are free. I mean, in Always Be Testing, we give out over 250 testing ideas you can do in Google Website Optimizer, and I guarantee almost all of them will have some kind of a lift on people's website if they execute on it. It just comes from the 10 years plus experience of doing it on all kinds of websites. So that's definitely a good place to start. People, I know it's a hard thing to find, right? And just resources are in general. But the other key thing that I recommend for people is having a process. And that's a big part of what we spend the time talking about in the book, is giving people a process. Not to do the slice and dice testing that everyone and the vendors in the past have been recommending, where, oh yes, we can test millions of variations. Well, that takes, people and process, people and tools and a lot of resources. And so that's not the best way to approach it. So if you have an intelligent process, that's definitely going to get you much further.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So definitely, I can't say enough good things about the book, because you do give away a lot of what's in your brain. So thank you for joining us for this interview, and definitely check out that book.
And looking forward to the webinar.